Welcome back, Angela here at So Bright Alpine Quilting. We're here this afternoon to talk about free motion quilting with panels. Many of you will know I love free motion quilting and I would do it all day, every day if that's what I could do, but can't do it that often. I do it as often as I can. So, panels are a great way to improve your free motion quilting skills because you haven't had to piece the panel. You generally have a picture or a design that you can trace around with your sewing machine and create some free motion quilting with. And it can help you with all your design aspects of your free motion quilting. So the class that I was going to teach in Townsville was with one of these little under the sea panels. Is it too high? There it is.
Dark.
It's dark when we come closer. So this one that I had already prepared was the whale. Also on the panel is the dolphin and the sea turtle, which I will use as my demonstration piece today. So to prepare our quilt sandwich, you may know, we take a backing fabric and, so you're going to follow me? We have a backing fabric, some wadding and our top. And in this case here we have a fusible wadding, so we just take it to the iron and we press it on the top and press it on the bottom, and that should hold those three layers together nicely for us. The first thing that we do before we start quilting the panel is to reinforce the outside edge, just so that we don't have any problems with the backing and the wadding separating. So I've just put my walking foot on and stitched around the outside with one of the threads. The next thing that we do before we start free motion quilting is to warm up, because free motion quilting is one of those skills that is not easily, it doesn't come natural. So it's something that we have to practice, and each time we go to do some work, we warm up, just like we would if we were exercising. So I've devised a little warm-up exercise, which I'll run you through now. So basically it's this little flower here. So what we're going to do is we are going to start stitching up and down lines, vertical and lines, and then we're going to go stitch some horizontal lines, and then we're going to run around our circle a couple of times, and then we're going to put some petals on our flowers, and then we're going to outline those petals. And another useful tool for helping you to work out where you're going to quilt is to draw first. So I like to use my sketchbook. So I often sketch out a design first, and that helps to create muscle memory. So with our warm-up we can do the same. We would take a Sharpie, which is easily thing, and we draw a circle. You can either draw a circle with something that is circular, or you can just freestyle it. So in this case here, I'll draw a circle with, so that I know where I'm going, roughly. And we would practice what we're going to do on the machine. So we would start on one side and we would draw our vertical lines. Now your lines can be, as you see, with a point on the end. They can be round, they can be totally pointy. It's all how you feel about what happens when you get to the machine. So all we're trying to do at the moment is just to give us a guide as to where we're going to go, so that we have something in our brain to follow. And then once we've done vertical and horizontal, just draw those in for, we will go around a couple of times, and then we will start drawing our petals. Now when you're on the sewing machine, you're just trying to create a constant movement with the machine. Don't worry too much about the stitch length at this point. All we're doing is just trying to ease ourselves into it, warm up, and check our thread tension, which is also very important. We want to make sure that our thread tension is correct, so that you have the right amount of tension on the top, between the top and the bottom thread, especially if you're using different coloured threads on the top and the bottom. So once you've done your warm-up, you can continue doing a few more patterns. If you know what it is you're going to be quilting, you might want to practice your pebbles or your swirls or your teardrops. So just have a little play with in your sketchbook or on a piece of paper, just to help you get started. So I will show you that on the machine now. Steve wants to come around. So the machine is threaded with a 50 weight thread on the top, and on the bottom I have one of these Deco Bob bobbins that are pre-wound bobbins which come from Wonderfeel. So the first thing we do is we have to make sure our machine is all set up properly. In this case, we have lowered our feed dogs. I have my free motion foot on, and I have a new needle in, and today I'm using a number 40 size needle because I'm going to be doing a few different weights in threads. So we start by lowering the needle and drawing up the bobbin thread, and once we've done that we can take a couple of stitches just to lock that in, and then we can trim those off. And then we're just going to start going backwards and forwards. And because we've lowered the feed dogs, we are in control of the stitch length. I'll just grab my hoop. So you can just have your hands like so either side and move it backwards and forwards. You can of course have some gloves, or you can use another tool similar to this one, which is the Pauline's Quilter's World Stitch and Quilt Hoop, which I find quite useful. Which helps to weight the work, put a nice weight on top of the work. Is that all right? And we just begin. So we're just going to find a rhythm and just move the fabric backwards and forwards in our hoop. Like I said, we're not thinking too much about the stitch length. We're just trying to get some movement and warm up. But if our stitches happen to be forming really nicely, that's even better. So just a constant speed and working out how to move your hands. Unfortunately, I've got the end of the fabric here, so it's not easy. I'll just go side to side now. It might also be worth at some point about now, having a look at the underneath, making sure that our stitches are forming nicely, which they are, so we don't need to adjust the tension at all. Pop our hoop back on and continue. Sorry, my bracelet keeps donking, so I'll take that off. Now we're going to go around a couple of times. Adjusting the hoop as we go. And now we'll try and form some petals. I might just move this around this way, see if that works any better. Doesn't like being on the end. I'll just take that off for now because it seems to be annoying me. And now we're just going to outline our petals. Okay, so what we've done, we can have a look at and see how we're going with our stitch length. It's looking pretty even, and sometimes it just depends on, you know, how you go with the coordination between the speed of the machine and your hands. And that's a work in progress. So we will take that one out and then we'll switch to our turtle. So what we need to do before we start on our panel is to have a look and see what design elements we want to incorporate into it. So I've still got this light blue thread on, so I'm going to look at what I might want to do in light blue. So I might want to outline his or her face and do some of these lighter, highlight some of these lighter areas, and perhaps come down and go around some of the areas on the front leg. And so we might just start up here. So once again, we'll bring our bobbin thread up, do a couple of stitches to tie that off, trim off the threads, and see if we can work with our hoop this time. So I'm just going to come around. You can, you need to just have a feel and see if you want to go around once or go around twice. So I'm going to go around twice. So then it makes it easier to come to the next one. So you can think of them as elongated pebbles, really. And then we'll scoot up and we'll do around the head here. Around his nostrils. Back down and around up his lip. And feel free to turn if you feel it's easier. And we'll give him some chin. Around. And you can see we've got some nice outline already. Now you might want to come back in with it. I probably will come back in with some darker colours and highlight the eyes and maybe a bit of his nose here. So that's probably all I want to do with the blue for the time being. So I'll just go up and down in a couple of spots to tie off. Trim the thread on the front and the back. And then we'll choose another colour. So the next part I'll probably do is this area of his back. I'm going to change the thread. I've got a little bucket of variegated cotton threads here. This one is another 50 weight one. It's beautiful browns and blacks and blues, so I'm going to choose that one for this one. Threading up our machine. Remember to press the foot before you thread the needle to engage the tension. Doesn't want to go in. Sometimes you need to make sure you get a nice point on the end of the thread. There we go. So this time we're going to go around these parts of his back. And I'm going to start about here, I think. Bringing up our threads again, a few stitches to tie off, have a little trim, and away we go. So, similar thing, we're going to be making that sort of elongated pebble shape, just following the design. And some places we may go over twice, some it might be 3 times, but that's okay. It just helps to create a bit of definition. Moving as we go. When we get to the end, we'll just come off the end and back up again. Just following the design, working a little bit organically and seeing where the thread takes us. Now in this area here you can see some little lines, so we might come up and just highlight some of those lines. So just a few little curves like this. And then the next part would be this part of his flipper. And I think I probably want to do that in a nice brighter purple colour. I'll just finish that one off. Change threads again. I don't know if you can see how it's popped up the areas that we haven't quilted, the texture in that. It's probably a bit hard to see, isn't it? With the light. But it defines the areas. Sorry, Steve. Give the areas a bit of definition. So I've got these 2 threads here. They're very similar, although this one is a 50 weight and this one is a 12 weight. So the 12 weight thread is obviously a lot thicker, so you'll see more of the thread than you will of this one. So sometimes it's just nice to have a little bit of difference in the texture of the thread that you're using. So we'll have a go with the 12 weight and see what happens. We might end up with a tangled mess in the machine, but it might also turn out pretty good. Given that I've set the tension for the 50 weight thread, let's hope we have some luck with this one. I might have to change to a bigger needle. But we'll see. We should be able to use a 14. Yep, it's gone through okay. So as long as it doesn't have too much trouble. So let's start this way and just outline his flipper. So bringing up the bottom thread again. Something sounds a bit clunky. It doesn't sound like it's liking it very much. But we'll have a go. It doesn't sound very good. Let's have a look underneath. No, it's stitching okay. It seems to be threaded okay. Just being a bit cantankerous, so we'll just go up and around the end here. Back again. Oh, no, we've got some shredding here, so we're going to need to change to a bigger needle. Give that one a miss for now. If you have a look at the back, you can see you can create a reversible quilt as well. So you could also, once you've finished doing all your quilting, you could come back with some paint and paint in some details and create yourself a what we call a chicken and egg quilt. Which came first, this side or the other side? Okay, so we need to change to a bigger needle, and that's going to take us a little while. So we might just talk about some of the other panels that we have around in the room. So other great panels that we have is this one, which is called Illustrations by Ali Kay. It's a Moda one. So that comes in the black and white. So that's half of the panel. The other part of the panel is on the other side of the room. This one here is called Art Theory from Alison Glass. So this is another one that I'll be doing a project with. So I intend to cut this panel in half and have the two circles and quilt in and around all of these shapes with different threads, and maybe even put some little crystals and things on some of the elements, and make it a quilt as you go and border it. This one here is the Sunshine Soul panel, just beautiful big panel. A lot of work you could do in that one. We also have some of the Aussie animal panels. We've got lots of different ones of those with animals and birds and marsupials on them. This is the other part of the illustrations panel. You can see part of the Pizzazz Peacock panel there. And behind Steve, if he turns around the other way, there's the other two. There's the large turtle panel that I showed you this morning, and the dolphin and the whale. On the table there is another little cushion pattern called Sketchy Flowers. This is a Monica Poole pattern, and this is another one that we can do as a free motion quilting class. So lots of little elements to help you get control of your free motion quilting on that one. So you've got similar thing to what we did here, round elements, pointy elements, curls and swirls. And the panel that's next to that is the Curiosity panel, which we use for the other free motion doodles class, which I love to teach. And I've just revamped it with this panel. So this is what we would have been teaching in Townsville and Cairns, is free motion doodles, and we would go over how to prepare your quilt sandwich, how to prepare your circles, so we quilt around our little circles here, and then we would use our sketchbook and we would practice drawing the design, and then we would quilt it. So we've used a variety of different threads in this one as well. This little panel here is called Happy. Another little great one for practicing smaller detail quilting. So you can see there's lots of elements on these little panels that you can quilt around. There's some on that one. No. The other thing that I like to use is little felt sandwiches. So 2 pieces of felt together just for practicing. So you can use them in your warm-up. So when we used this particular design in our class, we used this heart shape as a template to help us warm up, because that's the design that we were going to be working on. So once again, we have been using the gorgeous Wonderful threads. So Tutti, Fruity, Confetti, and we'll be using some of these Harmony threads, these rayon threads on these projects as well, just to give a little bit of sparkle here and there. This is the Free Motion Doodles pattern. That new one that we've released with the updated versions and things. Tomorrow I'll talk to you about applique, machine applique, reversible, not reversible, raw edge machine applique, and we'll work on Angelica the Angelfish, another one of the Undersea collection from Monica Poole, and we've stitched that one with one of these gorgeous rayon variegated threads. So I hope you have been inspired now to try free motion quilting. Give us a call, make a comment below, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks again. Bye.